Oh, hello. Just sitting here reading my Lindy Sports Fantasy Baseball Preview magazine, which is available on newsstands now. Who even knew that Evan Longoria was still in the majors? Not me. Anyway, let's put that aside and we'll get to the business at hand. Welcome back to Peanuts and Cracker Jacks, episode 3. Again, we are here in the beautiful Sign Gypsies Red Hills studio. Remember, for any birthday, anniversary, graduation, or just to say that you love someone, contact Sign Gypsies Red Hills via the Facebook. Click on their Book Now button, and our resident Sign Gypsy, Melly Childs Thomas, will take care of you for whatever needs you have. But anyway, we're going to be talking some baseball today. Sorry we've been away so long. That has become typical of our show. But hopefully going forward, we'll do a better job in getting out information to you. The last time we spoke, we talked about the San Diego Padres and the big move that they had made in acquiring left-handed pitcher Blake Snell. Obviously, that was the biggest move of the free agency period at the time and may still be, but the Padres weren't done, not by a long shot. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of their moves. One in particular, approximately 48 hours after the Snell acquisition, the Padres went out and picked up another starting pitcher, young South Korean right-hander by the name of Yu Darvish. Actually, he's not quite so young. He's actually 34. I had no idea he was that old until I started doing the research, but I guess I should remember that because it does seem like about 20 years ago that he was with the Rangers. Who is Yu Darvish? Well, he is a right-handed pitcher, one of the better strikeout pitchers in the game, but someone who has who's had his ups and downs in the major leagues. This past year, however, was not one of them. In the coronavirus shortened season of 2020, Yu Darvish finished with about an 8-2, 8-3 record and about a 2.0 ERA for the Cubs. Personally, I thought he should have been the National League Cy Young Award winner over Trevor Bauer, but I believe as the voting came out, he finished second, in fact. The big question for San Diego, obviously they're in win now mode by the moves that they've made getting Blake Snell and Yu Darvish. But exactly which Yu Darvish are they getting? Are they getting the 2020 Yu Darvish, or are they getting the Yu Darvish of a few years past? One that is more of an enigma, I guess. He's always been a big strikeout thrower, but he's also been prone to give up the long ball. He has been inconsistent and he's been injured at times. So is he going to be a solid number 1 or number 2 or number 3 pitcher in that rotation? Or is he going to revert back to the 2017 Los Angeles Dodgers version of Yu Darvish, which was a guy that you could not trust to get through maybe not even a single inning without giving up just an absolutely horrible bomb at the worst time? It's yet to be seen, obviously, because we haven't started even spring training, which I believe is scheduled to start on February the 17th with opening day around April 1st. There may still be some negotiations between the Players Association and the Major League Baseball front office, but as of right now, those dates are still on. So as we get into spring training, we've got the Padres loading up, going out big game hunting in the form of the Los Angeles Dodgers, obviously, with some newly acquired weapons on the hill, Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, most importantly, but they still were making moves, going out and getting Joe Musgrove from the Pittsburgh Pirates a week or two later. I don't know a whole lot about Musgrove. From looking at his stats, he's basically the same thing as Chris Paddock, who was the opening day starter for the Padres last year. He's your typical number 4, number 5 guy in most rotations. Will they have the same offense that they had last year to overcome some of his shortfalls, some Paddock shortfalls? We don't know. But right now, the Padres are looking at a starting rotation probably of either Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, or Dinelson Lamet as their number 1. The other 2 as the 2 and 3. Then Joe Musgrove and Chris Paddock most likely rounding out the rotation, unless they bring up Mackenzie Gore. If you're not familiar with Mackenzie Gore, he's the #1 overall pitching prospect in all of Major League Baseball right now. He's a left-hander who has not who's not got his feet wet in Major League Baseball yet, but we could see him at some point this season. I don't expect it to be the beginning of the year, but before the end of 2021, I think we will see Mackenzie Gore in the rotation in some form or fashion. That's pretty much what I wanted to say about the Padres today. I know I can get in a habit of going too long, and I don't want to do that today. So I'm going to try to move as quickly as I can. Other signings that have taken place since our last episode. Another one of the bigger ones: the Yankees signed DJ LeMahieu. If you remember my first episode, in my opinion, this is the key to the Yankees' chances in 2021. LeMahieu is the engine that runs that offense, and right now that's about all that the Yankees have is offense outside of Garrett Cole. DJ LeMahieu is Mr. Consistency, and not just consistency in a 285, 15 and 50 manner. He's a guy that could possibly hit 350 this year with 25 bombs and 80 or 90 home runs. That's kind of been the guy he's been over the last 3 or 4 years, and he's certainly much more likely to stay in the lineup every day than Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge. All these guys have had injury issues over the years and/or have just not produced at the level that they've been expected to. So signing DJ LeMahieu is huge for the Yankees' chances. He's one of my favorite players to watch in Major League Baseball, and the dude is an absolute winner. The other big signee that the Yankees have picked up, it's kind of a long shot. They're rolling the dice on him, but they grabbed Corey Kluber from the Texas Rangers. I was really surprised that they gave him as much as they did. They signed Kluber to a 1-year, $11 million deal. Kluber is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, but the last couple of years have not been kind to him. He has had injuries, and he's fallen a long way, certainly from the 2016 team that went to the World Series when he was in Cleveland to now. But if he's right, he could be a dependable number 2 behind Garrett Cole. And like I mentioned just a second ago, the Yankees have very little in the way of starting pitching this year. They really don't have that much in the bullpen either, outside of Aroldis Chapman and Zach Britton. But their starting rotation outside of Garrett Cole is just a bunch of reclamation projects, basically. Corey Kluber, obviously, we just mentioned. Domingo Germán is coming back from a suspension, and I don't know if you'd call it a retirement. He supposedly quit baseball. I believe there were some domestic violence issues around him. There's Jameson Taillon, who they signed from Pittsburgh, who has had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He's had testicular cancer. One thing after another has befell Taillon after being, I believe he was the top overall pick back in, God, it seems like a decade ago. Also, Luis Severino is coming back from Tommy John surgery. Won't be ready to start the season, but he should be back sometime, probably, I would guess, around the All-Star break. That's why it's so important to sign a guy like DJ LeMahieu, because if your starting pitching can't keep the runs down, you've got to put them up on the board, and LeMahieu gives you the best chance to do that. Crosstown, the New York Mets, you may remember they signed James McCann early in the season. McCann was the co-catcher for the Chicago White Sox last year, along with Yasmani Grandal. He signed, I believe, a 4-year deal for $40 million, which was I wouldn't say bargain basement price, but with people not really ready to spend money this year, it was a lot less than he probably would have got in a typical year. The Mets haven't done a whole lot else in the way of free agency, but they have swung one of the biggest trades of the offseason, grabbing Frankie Lindor and Carlos Carrasco from the Indians in exchange for some prospects that might end up being on a best case scenario as Drupal Carrera or a Placido Polanco type middle infielder. I couldn't even tell you the guy's names. Anyway, Lindor is obviously the name there. They agreed to arbitration with him for the next year. I believe it was $22 million, 22 and a half, something like that. But after the 2021 season, they will have to re-sign him if this trade is really to work out. I don't see them being a one-year wonder. Carrasco, if he's healthy, it may be the bigger piece to this puzzle. I believe he's under control for the next 3 years and gives them a dependable number 2 behind Jacob deGrom. A lot like the Yankees, the Mets pitching staff is kind of a mess. I'm not a fan of Marcus Stroman at all. I think he's extremely overrated. Noah Syndergaard has some of the best stuff in baseball, but again, he's coming off arm surgery. He's not going to be ready to start the year. So what they get from him is yet to be seen. So right now you're looking at DeGrom 1, who's easily one of the 3 best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Carrasco, who is just a workhorse who will go out there and he's not going to be too high, he's not going to be too low. So he fits right in with an offensive lineup like the Mets have, which is definitely their strength. Adding Lindor to a lineup that already had the polar bear over at first, Jeff McNeil, who's basically a Swiss Army knife, can play all over the field. Hits 300, will hit 20 to 25 bombs for you. You've got Michael Conforto in the outfield. You've got Dominic Smith. You've got plenty of bats in this lineup. Plus, you pick up McCann from the White Sox. They should be able to put plenty of runs on the board this year. They're going to be a fun offense to watch. In years past, the problem has been that deGrom has been the only arm on the staff. He's come out and thrown a sub-2 ERA and barely had a winning record each year. That's not going to be the case this year. We should see more wins up and down that rotation, even from the guys below Carrasco. Even Stroman might have a winning record this year. Who knows? But we'll see. That'll be interesting to watch. As we turn my page here, as in the notes that I have studiously prepared. A couple more things that I want to bring up. Liam Hendriks, if you remember the first episode, I was really high on Liam Hendriks. The last 2 years, this guy has been lights out for the Oakland A's. He is 32, 33, I believe. He's a guy that has really found his fastball in the last couple of years and has become a strikeout machine. One of my favorites in the American League this year is the Chicago White Sox. They went out and grabbed Liam Hendriks off the free agency market and basically are paying him 3 times what any other reliever has gotten this year. When we get into our team previews here in a week or so, we'll talk more about that. But as far as relievers go, in 2021, they really backed up the Brinks truck for Liam Hendriks, and he could definitely be worth it. The White Sox are going to be one of the best teams in all of baseball in 2021, and this is a guy that is really going to be a lockdown closer for them. I think he's got fantastic stuff. He's been in the American League, so he already knows the batters. Has had success against them. So they're going to be a fun team to watch. The Philadelphia Phillies. We talked about the Phillies in the first episode and how they were complaining about how much money they had lost. They weren't going to spend anything in free agency. JT Realmuto was out the door. What do? They come in and re-sign Realmuto about a week ago and pay him sorry, the dog's barking. Pay him an average annual value of about $23 million. I really did not expect that after the McCann deal. Even though Realmuto has been a full-time player for several years now, has been a picture of consistency, has been the top overall catcher in Major League Baseball offensively and defensively for 3 or 4 years now. Again, going back to what McCann signed for. McCann signed for roughly $10 million a year. Real Muto's getting $23 million a year. Big gap right there. Big gap there, especially coming from a team that said that they didn't have any money to spend. But it's good to see because the Phillies could definitely be a sneaky team to watch in the National League this year. They're nowhere near the Braves, but they've got a really good offense that if everybody clicks, if Real Muto, Harper, Rhys Hoskins, if those guys come out and have the years that they can have. Andrew McCutchen is entering his, I believe it's his 52nd year in Major League Baseball. If he's able to hit 10 or 15 home runs, that can't help but win a few ball games. Gene Segura is back. He's been down the last couple of years, but he's a guy that can get on base and can steal bases still, even at 30 years old, score runs for you. So I like the Phillies. They've got two good pitchers at the top of their rotation in Arenado and Zach Wheeler. Bringing Real Muto back should help some of the younger pitchers that haven't pitched as much or haven't had as much success in the past. They signed a guy that I think will probably end up being their closer, a guy named Archie Bradley. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Archie Bradley was a top pick probably about 8 or 10 years ago that has developed really slowly, but has come on the last couple of years. He had a really good 2020, throws 96, 97 out of the pen. I watched him several times last year. He pitched for Arizona at the beginning of the year. Then they traded him to Cincinnati. He was really good in Cincinnati. I really like this signing a lot. I believe it was just a 1-year deal. I'm not sure about the money, but that should help them on the back end, along with Hector Neris and some of the other arms that they've got there. I think that's about it as far as free agency goes. As far as the big names, anyway, there've been a lot of bullpen arms that have changed teams this year, but these are the ones of note. Another trade that I want to bring up real quick. Nolan Arenado. We talked about him being unhappy in Colorado in the first episode. It'd been rumored since he signed his last deal with the Rockies that he wanted to go to Los Angeles. That was never going to happen. Never going to happen. But out of the blue here, or I say out of the blue, Colorado was obviously shopping him. They deal Nolan Arenado to the St. Louis Cardinals. Not only do they send the best third baseman in baseball to the St. Louis Cardinals, but they say, hey, we'll give you $50 million on top of that if you'll give us some no-name prospects. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal for St. Louis anyway. Arenado's contract is a little complicated. He's got an opt-out after this year. He has said that he wants to stay, or he plans to stay long-term in St. Louis. St. Louis doesn't have a whole lot right now. They're one of the best organizations in baseball, but other than Goldschmidt on the other corner, they don't have a whole lot of offense. Dylan Carlson is a young guy that we'll see in the outfield this year that is one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball. Could end up being a star, but they definitely need some more bats in this lineup to go with Arenado, but at least he's got some protection with Goldschmidt. Another guy that came from the National League West a couple of years ago from the Diamondbacks to St. Louis. That's a good 1-2 punch there. Probably hit 3-4 in the lineup this year. If you're like Wesley Clark and you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan and don't know who Nolan Arenado is, I suggest you check him out on YouTube. Just his defensive highlights alone will blow you away. But this is also a guy that's probably going to hit, well, I would say probably, he's going to hit over 300 with 30 to 40 bombs and 100 RBIs. He's a monster at the plate. Couple teams, my personal favorites in projections to come out of their divisions this year who haven't done a lot this year at all, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. Other than moving some bullpen arms around, the Dodgers have been really quiet. The one thing they've got left to do is re-sign Justin Turner. That's going to happen. The big difference has been they've been offering 2 years. Turner wants 4 years. Turner's 36. Obviously would like to play under contract until he's 40. I don't think that happens. I think he either accepts a 2-year deal or maybe they compromise for 3. But this is something that's got to happen. The Dodgers didn't need to make any moves because they're absolutely loaded from top to bottom, offensively, defensively, in the starting rotation, in the bullpen, and in the farm system. Right now, they're just a machine. But this guy's the heart and soul of the team. If they don't bring him back, I would be a little worried just from a clubhouse perspective. Not maybe this much worried, just because the talent is so overwhelming there. But Justin Turner is he's one of those guys that is going to give you everything he's got every day. Plays great defense at third. He can still hit. He's a spark plug. He's one of those guys that you love to watch play because he's having so much fun doing it. And he's one of the, like I said, he's one of the clubhouse leaders. You really need to bring him back. If you don't, you've still got options. You can move some guys around. They're very versatile. It's not going to be a big drop offensively, but like I said, it may be as far as the clubhouse and maybe just the winning mentality goes. The other team, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves haven't done a whole lot this year. They grabbed Charlie Morton, was maybe the first deal of the offseason. I thought that was a great pickup. Morton didn't have a great year in 2020, but with everybody's stats in 2020, you really have to take that with a grain of salt. He's getting up there in years, but he's a guy that until the last few years really hadn't put a whole lot of miles on his arm. He's still capable of winning 15 ball games in Atlanta, I think. He's another guy. He's just a dog. He's going to go out there and battle you every pitch that he throws. He's one of my favorites. He was when he was in Houston. He was when he was in Tampa. Really excited to see him in Atlanta this year. The other question in Atlanta, are they going to re-sign Marcell Ozuna or not? As of right now, as of today, February 2nd, there's still no universal DH in Major League Baseball. So if they really consider Ozuna to be a defensive liability, that could affect whether or not they re-sign him. I think it's really helped him as far as holding out as long as he has. I'm sure he's had offers, but he's a guy that put up such incredible numbers in 2020. Somebody that's right there, especially in the American League, that can put him at DH all day, and they're willing to spend money. And this is going to be my last thing that we talk about. I don't see them hesitating to give Ozuna a 1-year, $25 million deal. And the one team that I'm thinking about is the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, they already broke open the bank to sign George Springer, who, if you remember, I was high on George Springer. I think he's one of the most underrated, unsung players in Major League Baseball. They added him to a lineup that already features Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel. They put him in the outfield. They're going to have him hitting leadoff. And then they go out and they also get Marcus Semien, sign Marcus Semien on a 1-year deal from Oakland. I'm not as high on Marcus Semien, but that's another big bat there. And obviously they're trying to compensate for their lack of pitching because beyond Hyunjin Ryu, they don't have a whole lot in the way of pitching. One of the top prospects in all of baseball is Nate Pearson, as a starting pitcher in the Blue Jays organization. He had a cup of coffee last year. I expect to see him start on the 40-man roster in April. We'll see what we get from him or what Toronto gets from him. But if Toronto is really going to say, hey, we're all in, we just gave George Springer $150 million, we want to win now. We know we don't have any pitching. Go out and get Marcell Ozuna. Why not? I mean, you got one of the richest owners in Major League Baseball. I believe he's number 2 behind Steve Forbes. And after the whole Reddit GameStop fiasco, who knows what Steve Cohen's worth? Go out, spend the money. Let's have some fun because this offensive lineup, with or without Marcell Ozuna, is going to be one of the things that you want to watch every night. You've got the offspring of, I believe, 2 or 3 Hall of Famers. I guess Guerrero Sr.'s in the Hall of Fame. Biggio Sr.'s on the Hall of Fame. Dante Bichette's not, but we all remember Dante Bichette, right, with those Rockies teams. Bo's going to probably be even better. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So let's see where Marcell Ozuna goes to, whether it's back to Atlanta or with an American League team like Toronto. I don't know, but I think he has helped himself as far as the price tag goes. I could be completely wrong with that. Another guy that's just like Marcell Ozuna, Nelson Cruz, still remains unsigned. Has been with Minnesota the last couple of years. This guy's 41 years old, and all he does is rake. Caperton Lawn and Landscape ought to go out and hire this guy. All right, that's how much he rakes. Okay, since he was about 34, this guy's really turned it on. At 41, he's still hitting 40 bombs and 100 plus RBIs a year with around a 300 average. I expect him to stay in Minnesota. Again, there's no universal DH, so I don't see him going to the National League. He spent some time in Seattle, and Seattle is fixing to come on. They've got some of the top prospects in baseball to go along with Kyle Seager and Kyle Lewis, who was an American League Rookie of the Year candidate last year. Cruz may not be around there by the time they all blossom, but I could see him going back to Seattle if he liked the Pacific Northwest. The last thing I've got in my notes anywhere, Trevor Bauer. All right, the number one starting pitching option on the market. Everybody has known this is the only real starting pitcher worth going to get. Okay, and I have absolutely no idea where he's going because I hear a different rumor about a different team every day. Sometimes it's for a winning team, sometimes it's for a nobody. Trevor Bauer has always been a little, let's say, difficult. If not difficult, he's always marched to the beat of his own drum. So I don't think there's any telling what he's going to do. I don't think he's necessarily looking for a big market or a winning team. I think he's just looking for a place where he can, I guess, for lack of a better term, be himself, which is a little different. He's not going to get a $30 million a year deal. It's not happening. He's not that good a pitcher. He is very good. Don't think that I'm trying to knock him down that far. He looks a lot better this year because there's nobody else out there to compare him against. But we should see here in the next couple of weeks where Trevor Bauer ends up. As long as I've been talking, he may have already signed here in just the last little bit. But that's about all that we've got for today. Again, spring training is scheduled to start on February 17th again, I believe. So in the next coming days, hopefully we're going to start our team previews. I hope you're all looking forward to that. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, text me or email me if you're that close, if you think I really want to talk to you. And remember, let Sign Gypsies Red Hills hook you up for any sign needs that you have, and we will get back with you here just as soon as we can to talk some more baseball. Thank you, guys.